Hello and welcome to Talking Football, where we follow all the events in European football. Today we will take an in-depth look at the Premier League and La Liga. With me here in the studio are Ouriel Daskal, football analyst for Kalkalis Daily and website, and our own Michael Friedman, who will give us all the insights from what the press is talking about. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Thank you for coming. 2 defeats in a row for Barcelona. Real Madrid is now first in Spain, and City again wins the Manchester derby. All that and much more coming up. Here we go. We begin in Spain, and Ouriel, Barcelona loses again, second defeat in a row, 1-0 at home to Celta Vigo. Having said that, and the highlights of the game include one opportunity for Celta Vigo, 5, 6, or even 7 for Barcelona. Is that good for them because they missed a lot and next time they'll score, or should they be worried? 2 losses in a row.
I think they should be worried. I think it took Messi and Neymar about a year to get used to each other, to get used to movement patterns, passing patterns. And then Luis Suarez came along and they have to get used to it again, They have to get used, Messi has to get used to Neymar when Suarez is playing, and Neymar has to get used to Messi when Suarez is playing, and both of them have to get used to Suarez. So you saw even at the chances, it wasn't, it wasn't, you didn't have perfect chances. They had to score. It was more or less, they got to a chance, but it wasn't like 100% chance.
And it seems like Messi is taking the toll. Basically, it's not the same player as we've seen a year or 2 or 3 before. Yes, he has scored 7 goals in 10 games. Not a bad figure, but it's not the same explosive Messi we've seen before.
Obviously, he lost some of his explosiveness, but, he's gone back. He's a bit more Xavi now than than Messi. He's playing more as a playmaker, and that's why it took him a year to get used to Neymar and his movement, And now as a much more playmaker kind of player, he needs to control the patterns of passes to his team and to his teammates. And I'm not sure he's going to get it with Suarez, because Suarez needs the ball. Yeah, he needs the ball in his feet.
Absolutely.
So he needs to get used to it. It took him a year to get used to Neymar.
And now it's happening all over again. And Michael, I have to ask you about the way the press is looking at it. Let's remember, we've been waiting for this record-breaking by Messi for weeks. Will it happen at the Bernabeu? Will it happen before, after? It's not happening at all so far.
Yes, the headlines after the match read Celta Vigo, shocks Barca at Camp Nou. The press hit hard at Barcelona after their second straight defeat. This was obviously even more surprising because it was in their home ground. Messi's scoring record was the big thing that they expected, that this would be the game that he would be able to match Telmo Zarra's record of 251 goals. But the press was also surprised that, Luis Suarez, how he's doing is not really fitting in. The home game here and how he played in the Bernabeu was not to their expectations for Barcelona.
And it should be said that Messi and Neymar together played very, very good, while Suarez was out at the beginning of the season. Now, not so much.
They shared 20 goals between them, and they had 12 assists, mostly to each other. So they got used to each other. They played well with each other, and then
someone else came in.
To his company, three's a crowd.
Now let's turn to Real Madrid, where there are no such problems. They're in a pace of their own, 4-0 against Granada. The game starts, they score, that's it.
Out of this world. I'll give you some statistics. Last 11 games, they had 11 wins, goals scored 46, goals against 7. That's just, out of this world. They can score whatever they want. They have Ronaldo, who's obviously the best, right now, the best player in the world by far, even better than Messi by far.
And this goal Benzema, setting James, it's a circus.
Yeah, it's a circus. Their game is based less about passing patterns like Barcelona, more about individual brilliance, individual, thinking, intellectual players who can play the ball fast, pass it extremely well, and they're the strongest team in Europe now.
They look like the strongest team, as you have said, in Europe and in Spain.
Champions of Europe,
absolutely,
by the way.
By all merits. And we also look at Atletico Madrid, and we spoke a lot about the players leaving Atletico Madrid. We said, well, Costa left, David Villa left, Courtois left. A lot of the backbone stayed. Arda Turan is there. Gabi is there. Koke is there. Juan Fran, that's a good team. And it seems like Griezmann and Mandzukic were the perfect substitutions for Costa and Villa, who left.
Yes and no, because you do sense they lost a bit of quality. You know, most of their goals are set pieces. They are a lot more tough. They're a lot more, you know, they find it harder to play against other teams. They do get the points, they do get the wins, but I'm not sure they can hold it for much longer. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for them with, you know, with less quality to be as successful as they were last year.
Just bear in mind, everybody, including myself, said last year pretty much the same thing. Where did it end? We all know. I didn't think Atletico Madrid would make it, but they did. Will it happen this time? We'll see. In other results from Spain, Seville missed on the opportunity to climb to first when they lost 1-0 in Bilbao. Valencia, on the other hand, made sure not to miss their chance to remain close to the top. They won 3-1 away against Villarreal, and one more match will be held tonight. Rayo Vallecano will host Eibar. Real Madrid climbed to first with 24 points. Valencia and Atletico Madrid follow, both with 23. And then are Barcelona and Seville with 22. Yes, only 2 points separate between the top 5 teams. Let's hope it stays as close and interesting all the way to the end. When Barcelona dominated European football in the good old days under Pep Guardiola, the one thing that the fans were most proud about was the fact that most of the players were homegrown, as opposed to the hundreds of millions of euros their big rivals Real Madrid would spend every summer. Now, Barca is spending just as much as the Merengues, but their academy, the famous Masia, is still producing young talents. Lise Barnbaum and Michael Friedman take a look at the most successful clubs in Europe when it comes to growing young prospects.
Barcelona is currently in trouble in La Liga after losing their last 2 matches, which may cost them the championship, but they will still be the undisputed kings of football development. According to a recent study by the Observatory of Football, the Catalans are better than both Manchester United and Real Madrid, and not far behind are the youth training academies at Lyon and PSG. Barcelona have groomed many champions such as Xavi and Iniesta, Puyol, Fabregas, and most notably, Lionel Messi. And the players know what they received from their schools.
I know where I came from. I owe everything to Barcelona. It is thanks to them that I was able to get into the Spanish team. I was treated so wonderfully at Barcelona and in the Spanish national team. I'm very proud to belong to these 2 teams, and I hope it will last many years to come.
Barcelona Academy players currently account for 43 of the active players in the 5 biggest European leagues, which is 7 more than Manchester United. Real Madrid then follows with their 34 youth players. Lyon was second last year, but dropped 2 spots, but still remained to groom some of the most elite players. This is proof seen from stars like Benzema and Pjanic. PSG, who was not among the top 20 last season, rose up and is now included in this year's European top 5. Unlike Lyon, who uses their prodigies, PSG often send their stars abroad. But the good youth players are a result of a policy made by the previous owner of PSG prior to Qatar's investment in the club. League One is also less wealthy than the other major leagues and rely heavily on the development of their players from their academies. With nearly 27% of the players raised in French academies, France is far ahead of the Premier League, who only have 15% of homegrown players. For 6 straight years, the French teams have had at least 20% of their players coming from the youth. But the best improvement was seen by Manchester United as they surpassed Marseille, Chelsea, and Real Sociedad. This year, the Red Devils have continued to increase their training center as they promoted defender Tyler Blackett and strikers Jesse Lingard and James Wilson. With talented youth players going through development programs, teams hope for their investments to pay off.
Ouriel, I have to ask you, Barcelona is growing so many good players, and yet they pay 80 million euros for Suarez, pretty much the same amount, almost the same amount for Neymar. Why go to that? The best years under Pep were the times where they didn't spend so much on other players.
And those signings needs an adjustment period to get used to Barcelona way of playing. I think they're wrong. I think buying Suarez was a commercial interest for them. They wanted to buy a big star because Real Madrid has all the stars, and they wanted, to continue growing their brand in Asia and in other places.
So and basically, it's a selling T-shirt competition.
Well, yes, sort of. They're trying to play the same game Real Madrid is playing. But Real Madrid is Real Madrid, and Barcelona is Barcelona. And I think Barcelona should focus a lot more inwards and, develop the players and let them go in to the squad, because they're much better at that than anyone else in the world. And I think they're missing a bit. They are less Barcelona with those oldest purchased players.
We've seen that in those good old days under Pep Guardiola. Now it's time for the Premier League. The Manchester derby was a big story this weekend in the Premier League. A win was crucial for both teams, but only one delivered. Believe it or not, it's been almost 2 years since United celebrated a derby win. The Red Devils will keep on waiting at least a few more months. Kun Aguero, of course, scored the only goal of the match. He now leads the goal-scoring table in the Premier League with 10. The Citizens now won the last 4 derbies. Uriel, you look at the squads, Manchester United, Manchester City, almost the same, but City, they seem as if they were stronger mentally, as the complete opposite of what would happen under Alex Ferguson. United always won it in the head.
Well, yeah, Manchester United is a more cohesive group of players. They know each other, they play each other for a long time now. And Manchester United, well, it's the most expensive opening lineup ever in Premier League history, and they don't look so.
You see
they don't
names.
look so good as they say.
There's Wayne Rooney, there's Robin van Persie, there's Angel Di Maria, there's Daley Blind. These are good, experienced, expensive players.
Yes, and I think it takes time to get used to Louis van Gaal. But you look at Southampton, and this is a team that was disbanded and put up together again, and they're doing pretty well under Koeman. I think that the deeper issues are, we're not aware of them yet. I think there are a lot of things happening underneath
that we don't see them.
We don't see it, and I think eventually it will explode. Either that, or the next 10 games, Manchester United are going to be completely awesome and win the league.
We'll see that. And Michael, last week the press was all over the fact that Van Gaal called Van Persie an idiot for celebrating that goal against Chelsea. He did it again this time. The press is again celebrating with it.
Yeah, the press was going all over Chris Smallings, which Van Gaal was saying that it was one of the stupidest things he could have done. This was a dismal, embarrassing 2 yellow cards that shouldn't have come.
So he calls one player an idiot one week, and then another player stupid the next week.
So he keeps going after his players, despite the fact that everyone's behind Louis van Gaal. He's getting constantly in the press for what he's saying, and he was also quoted saying that as a player you have to control your aggression. And as a player, you have a yellow card, so you have to handle yourself. So he was surprised that as, elite player for Manchester United, his players weren't thinking logically. And, coming off like that, Manchester United was shown that this was their worst start since 1986.
Louis van Gaal is not much better than David Moyes as we see it now.
Yeah, result-wise, it's not better.
He has, Premier League games, 10 league points. David Moyes had 17 points, and Van Gaal has 13. And David Moyes only spent £28 million. Van Gaal spent almost 150 million.
Most expensive side they've ever had.
Let's see some other results from the Premier League. Liverpool is nowhere close to that exciting team we saw last season. The struggle, but an Eden Hazard penalty put them past Queen's Park Rangers. The Blues won 2-1 in Stamford Bridge, and Southampton win again, this time 1-0 in Hull. Chelsea are first with 26 points, followed by Southampton with 22. Manchester City can still dream of a second successive title as they keep close enough to the top. They are third with 20. Arsenal and West Ham close to the list of the top 5 teams with 17 points. And I have to ask in the little time we have left about Southampton, second place, winning again and again. Koeman said no championship. What do you think?
No championship. I can't see it possible. I mean, I think it's a good beginning. It's a good start of a season, but eventually it ends up with the surprising team being 5th, 6th, 7th. It's always like that. they're pretty good. They took a lot of teams by surprise, but now teams will know them. They will, they'll be more ready for them. Then we'll see, they'll drop points.
All right, we'll keep on watching Southampton as well. Ouriel Daskal, Michael Friedman, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's it for us today. Make sure to watch us again tomorrow for our second Talking Football show. This time covering the action from Germany and France. Thank you for watching and have a beautiful day.